Hello YouTube, my name is Tyler and this is my first week of May reading vlog. It is May 3rd currently and I thought I would just do a little bit of a check-in because I haven't finished anything and I'm really not that close to finishing anything, kind of in the middle of the week. So I thought I would just do a little check-in and let you know what I am reading. So first of all, since it is May 3rd, Daily Dracula started back up. So I'm going to be reading Dracula in little fits and starts from now until sometime in November, I believe. So that should be fun. I've never read Dracula, and I missed out on doing Daily Dracula last year, so I think it'll be fun to do it again this year. I am reading Biography of X. I thought I might DNF it, but the next chapter did get interesting. We're finally getting more into the alternate history stuff with the Southern Territories, which is kind of like a religious theocracy that took over the southern United States. So that stuff's been interesting. I'm enjoying it. It's still a little dry, but I don't know if I would say invested. I'm intrigued by the stuff I'm learning, I guess. I'm also reading The Roundhouse by Louise Ulrich. I keep forgetting to look at her last name. I keep seeing it, but not like stopping and actually taking in her name. But I started The Roundhouse. This is also kind of a little dense and dry. There's no quotations around the dialogue. I hate when people do that. However, for the most part, the dialogue is relatively sparse. Or there's like not necessarily like a lot of back and forth between a whole bunch of people. So it's manageable at this point. I'm intrigued by what's going on, but also, yeah, it's a little dry. Like, I'm not loving the writing necessarily. And what else? What else am I reading or consuming? I'm listening to Inventing Latinos. That's an audiobook about like the Latino identity in America, where it came from, the history of it. I haven't gotten too far into it. I really just listened to the intro, which kind of laid out what the purpose of the book is, I guess. So yeah, I think that's like all the things I'm reading. I'm for the most part enjoying the stuff I'm reading. I'm not like loving anything, but can't complain. I am hoping that I will finish something this week though for this vlog. Anyways, my battery is about to die apparently, so I will talk to y'all later. Bye! Hi, hello, it is May 8th and I finished a book last night, but I was literally in bed when I finished it, so I was not going to record the clip. This is the only book I have finished in the first week of May. Let's go ahead and talk about it. I opened the wrong app. I finished Inventing Latinos, A New Story of American Racism by Laura E. Gomez. I gave this 4 stars. I listened to it as an audiobook. I think this is one of the things I definitely should have read. It wasn't a super long nonfiction book, and I just should have read it. Not because the audiobook was bad, but even reading some reviews for it last night, people just talked about how it was like a lot of dates, like stats and figures and things, and I think it would have just been a little more comprehensible in a visual format, especially because I could tell it was split into a lot of different sections. So there were only, I think it was like a 9-hour audiobook, but there were only 4 chapters. So all the chapters were very long, but I could tell with the pauses and the way it was laid out that there were sections. So like it would focus on Mexico, and then it would focus on certain countries in Latin America. And so I could like hear that there were headings of sections, but like I couldn't see them listed in the table of contents in the audiobook. But overall, I really enjoyed this. It's kind of hard for me to talk about. The reason I was reading reviews last night was I was kind of hoping someone would have written a very lovely review that kind of summed up all my feelings about it, instead of me trying to figure out how to word all my feelings. but I didn't quite find that perfect review. Overall, this book is just kind of talking about the Latino identity in America, how colonialism and imperialism has played a role in creating racial hierarchies in Latin America, but then how those ideas also fit into America's racial hierarchy, the complicated relationship that Latinos have with whiteness, how they have played a role in continuing to further white supremacy by contributing to subjugation of Black Americans. Not all of them, but there were definitely some Latino political movements that did do that, or court cases that tried to further Latino progress, you know, getting into better schools and things like that at the expense of Black Americans. I don't know, it was really interesting. I found it interesting as a person with Mexican American ancestry that struggles to figure out where I fit within racial guidelines when filling out forms like the census, which it talks about a lot in this book. Really interesting. I will say at the end, it talked about court packing. This came out in 2019, and like was like, if the Supreme Court is not going to do right by DACA, this was before that case was decided, we're going to need to overhaul the Supreme Court. And I found that just so interesting because that was not mainstream political talking in 2019. So I found that to be fascinating that got mentioned in, I think, the epilogue. Overall, I think it's a great starting point. Especially like me, I like so much of my understanding of race in America is so focused on Black and white tensions, white supremacy at the expense of Black Americans. So understanding the part in that Latinos play in that, both how they're not seen as white, but also have some of these white privileges by not being Black, which is really interesting. Yeah, I think I should have read it, but the audiobook was fine. I did get Forager as an audiobook, so I'm really excited to start that because that has been on my TBR for a little bit. Not like a super long time because I think it just came out, but I've been really interested to listen to it, and it's had a very long waiting list. So I'm really, really excited about that, especially because I've been wanting to listen to a more memoir-based audiobook recently. I feel like I'm kind of getting a little bogged down in some of these heavier straight up nonfiction audiobooks, and sometimes they can be kind of hit or miss, and it's hard to tell which nonfiction that's not memoir based will be a good audio listen and which would probably be more beneficial in physical format. So I'm excited to listen to a memoir audiobook because I haven't listened to one in a while. I'm gonna record me walking on my treadmill a little bit while I read Biography of X because I haven't read it in a couple days. And this is the only book I have finished this week, so I know this vlog is gonna be really short, so I'm gonna film a little bit of a read with me section. All right, so I just finished a chapter of this. I think I'm like 40% in or something like that. I don't know. It's not like a terribly long book. Overall, I think I'm enjoying this. So far, I don't know. I am wanting more. Like, I just don't necessarily feel the pull or intrigue in X specifically. So like, I don't get why everyone is like so obsessed with her. Like, I don't get the mystique of X and why everyone is so drawn to X. And honestly, I find the wife who's writing the biography to be kind of annoying. I don't understand their relationship and why she's like just so wrapped up in her wife, when like seemingly they don't know anything about each other. Like, it's just so bizarre to me. I don't get it. However, the stuff about the Southern Territories, the disunion, the like religious theocracy that took over the Southern Territories. So when CM went to the Southern Territories, well, the former Southern Territories, and we were learning all about like how the Southern Territories worked. That stuff was really interesting and fascinating to me. So I hope we get back to that soon. Although X has like left the Southern Territories by now, so I don't know how much more of it we're actually gonna get. I don't know. However, Kayla did read Pew in one of her more recent reading vlogs. I finally caught up on all her videos. She read Pew in it and really liked it. And that is also about like a religious community. And so I think I am going to read that, even if I like end up DNFing this or like I don't love this. I think I'm going to read Pew because the religious stuff in here is interesting to me. So I feel like I might like that as well. Yeah, I think this is a book, like a biography book, is like actually not working for me in this very much. I think I would have preferred this as just like a novel and it's about X and her life, instead of this like facade of a journalist discovering about her wife biography situation. So next week should be a regular reading vlog, and I'll probably be talking about this either in DNF or finished form. I'm reading some other stuff, but I can't think of them off the top of my head, and I need to finish doing my walk. So I will talk to y'all next week. Goodbye.